This is a 1998 Chrysler Conquest TSI. This is Krill.
Now, I'll tell you what, Krill is the Chicago version of Corbin Goodwin.
Because Krill built this. An obnoxious, low, black, zip-tied, uncomfortable, overboosted polyurethane bushing headlinerless, exhaust flapping, vibrating, hella flush Chrysler Conquest.
And she'll promise you more than the land of Chicago. She can get you around for as cheap as Travago. She's the hooker you love, who gives rim jobs for free. You can call it Starion, it's always a conquest to me.
Everybody in Europe and Australia is going, what is a Chrysler Conquest? This is a Mitsubishi Starion. That's all it is. This is a Mitsubishi Starion. It's a gray import. Okay, here's how gray importing works. Two executives establish a trade relationship where one agrees to accept the other's cock through a glory hole, and they promise never to tell, and they leave the Little League game where neither of their kids were involved. And on the way home, they buy Gia pets from the dirt mall, and the two men board separate commuter planes in Harrisburg and go home. And then, crates full of Mitsubishi Starions arrive in San Francisco Harbor without any badging. And that is how gray importing works. Aside from the Turbo Omni, which was a super niche hot hatch, Chrysler had no small sports cars. So Chrysler had a spoon with 40% of Mitsubishi to get the Starion and rebadge it as a Chrysler. Never underestimate the gullibility of consumers. An American badge is all you really need to seduce skin-deep patriots. Just look at all those sleeveless t-shirt, gym shorts wearing fishing license on the hat, leaving on supermarket line proselytizers who yap on about buying American before sliding into their Chevy Prism, Aveo, or Eagle Talon. So Chrysler had to do something to get a sports car for the 80s because they were still working on the K platform based front-wheel driven Dodge Daytona and Plymouth Laser. Even though this is a Mitsubishi Starion, I'm still calling it a Conquest. In its stock form, it had a 2.6 straight 4 with a single cam and throttle body fuel injection. Even with a turbocharger and intercooler, it couldn't break 200 horsepower, only 176. It was the 80s, what do you want? Yes, I know, there was a big black turbocharged American exception to that, but that's a story for another time. But now it's 2014, and we can crack those old ECUs and unearth the power that was Reaganomically suppressed. So here's what Krill did. Stainless steel brake lines, full polyurethane bushings all around, straight 2.5 to 3 inch exhaust made from scrap, air conditioner delete, ABS delete, EGR delete, cruise control delete, jet valve delete, all new silicone vacuum lines, first gen GSX Eclipse steering wheel, Mitsubishi Galant radio. He upgraded to H4 beams instead of sealed headlights while maintaining the stock look. More polyurethane mountings for the engine, transmission, and differential. 1-inch wheel spacers up front, but unfortunately the same doesn't clear in the rear, so nothing back there. Porterfield brake pads. He has no idea how much power this car is making because it's so low it doesn't fit on the dyno. People in the import tuner scene get all hard for polyurethane bushings, and yes, they work, and yes, it makes the car stiffer, and yes, it makes it handle better, and yes, it makes it turn sharper, but they only work on the track. When you put polyurethane bushings on a street car, all it does is make it feel like there's a guy with a tack hammer just hammering on your perineum all the time. And speaking of car culture, and even the word culture, I mean, think about that word culture, especially associated with cars. It's a loaded phrase in itself. It has pushed import tuner car shows way past strobe lights and Lambo doors and anything Fast and the Furious. Tuner car shows have become so glossy and reflective that they're no longer vehicles. They're just receptacles for Meguiar's and micro fiber towels. Pushback, it's gonna happen. And this is what this car is. Krill has built a reaction to car culture, a reaction to the tuner scene. We've gone so far with the Fast and the Furious cars, the only way forward is backward again. And this is what it is. He's built a modern version of a hot rod. And it's so fitting that this ugly Conquest exists in Chicago. Dig this. Chicago is the only city in America that got to hit the reset button. The Great Chicago Fire wiped out most of the city. The city rebuilt itself and created a new identity. Chrysler got to hit the reset button when Iacocca came in. This car represents that transition between the old Chrysler and the new Chrysler. But this car can never be a Mitsubishi Starion. It's stuck with always playing the B side to the Japanese import tuner A side. Chicago, it can never be New York City. Chicago is America's B side. No matter how hard Chicago tries, no matter how many musicals it gets, no matter how much attention it gets, no matter how much Batman it gets, it's never New York. It's always B-side. Chrysler can never win. It's not even in third place anymore. But we like to pull for it. Come on, you can do it. Maybe it's the whole lovable loser thing, although don't tell that to anybody who lives in Chicago. Chicago is the illest city in America. I loved every minute of being here. I want to come back. I want to come back so bad. I'm going to fly back next time. Here's another thing. With the new age of Chrysler, which this Conquest represents, there was no more looking back. There was no more looking back at all the big boaty cars from before. Yeah, I know they're kind of do that now, but let's stay in the 80s frame of mind for a second. There was no more going back to the Aspens and Volaris or Volairs. There was no going back to the Chrysler Cordoba. This car is saying we're a new company now. Yes, I know it's a gray import, but look at us. The only way forward is to the horizon, to the frontier. Chicago is also a city that can never go back, both through the fire and also through geography. Go west, young man, right? You can never go east. East is returning. East is old. New York rides on its past, while Chicago is always looking toward the future because it can never go east. The lake's in the way. Chicago can never expand eastward. It can only go westward. It can only go to the transcendent future. Look at New York and Chicago. New York parades on all the old architecture, while Chicago is always sleek and new and hip. We could make a different argument for the West Coast, but that's a different video. Krill has built the automotive representation of Chicago. I wish we could have driven this in the city more. Oh, to take this car on Lower Wacker Drive. Maybe someday. Our time with this car was so short, I wish it would have lasted longer. But in no way is this car comfortable. Everything shakes in here. Look at the mirror. It doesn't even stand still at a cruising speed. Every bit of this car is made to annoy. I mean, we hooked up ironic meters to this and the just spun. It couldn't make sense of it. Is this car serious or is it a joke? But at no point are you ever bored driving this. The turbo is still a very small turbo, so the boost comes on quickly. And there's after firing coming out of this straight pipe at no particular time. It just does it whenever it wants to, and that flap is always going in the rear. But when people look at it, they get it. This is not a car to be taken seriously by any means. It's a car that celebrates forward momentum and noise. This is the automotive equivalent of two cats having violent sex in a dumpster. This is the vehicular equivalent of Catholic school bathroom blowjobs, full of danger and shame. And just like that experience, all you try to do while driving Krill's Conquest is keep a straight face. You're right, everybody does look at this thing. Just that after rumble coming off the back.
Yeah, that's
like rolling down a residential street, ruining everybody's day.
oh yeah. Oh, Sunday night you're having a wonderful dinner? No.
Yeah, no. Oh, this is a lot of fun.
I love it.
Oh, bridge.
I don't know if we're...
Are they letting us by?
People do that to me.
Yeah.
I don't even tailgate them. They're just moving.
Yeah, I wasn't close to that guy. He just let me by.
I just can't get it out of my head. Oh, this conquest is all I think about. The head headlights go up and go down, and it's what we will write reviews about. 2.6 G54B makes around 145. Let me be. Dude, bro, free. Free forever and ever and ever. And I see Chrysler Conquest here. Who's that drinking my craft beer? Who's that casting out all the demons that I'm chilled with? Mama, this isn't Mazda 3. Oh, oh, mama, this isn't Mazda 3. Oh, oh. Chrysler Conquest, please come home. I'm sorry that I sold you to that dealership. Chrysler Conquest, please come home. Oh, your headlights, I can't live without them. They go up and down, let's talk about them.